The film begins with a taxi driver named Santiago. He's a nice old man who likes to help people. One morning, he goes to a cafe for breakfast and meets a friend there. They talk while eating. Soon after, Santiago gets a request to take a woman to the airport. He rushes to pick her up. After dropping her off, instead of going home, he decides to wait for more passengers. Meanwhile, his wife, Laura, calls to ask when he'll be home. Santiago says he might be late because he doesn't have many passengers. At that time, Laura wanted to go out to eat with him, but since he's busy, she eats at home with their son. Just after the call ends, there's a bomb explosion. People run in panic, and some get hurt or killed. Luckily, Santiago is safe. He gets out of his taxi to help the injured, including a man he takes to the hospital in his taxi. Just as Santiago was about to drive away, a man suddenly pointed a gun at him. The man, named Hamza, was part of the group that bombed the airport. Santiago was really scared and had to do whatever Hamza said. Meanwhile, Laura got a call about the airport explosion. She woke up their son because she knew Santiago was there, but she couldn't reach him on the phone, which made them both really worried. At the same time, military officials were having a meeting about the bombing. They told Captain Pilar to handle the case and catch the terrorists. Pilar quickly got the ED team to check the airport cameras. They found footage of Hamza acting suspiciously. Now, let's go back to Santiago, who's still with Hamza, the guy holding him hostage. They're heading to another town. Along the way, Hamza asks Santiago to stop at a gas station with a supermarket. At the supermarket, Hamza and Santiago go inside to buy pliers, snacks, and water. Then, Hamza takes Santiago to the bathroom and tells him to stay put. At that time, Hamza uses the pliers to carefully remove the bomb vest he's wearing. Once it's off, he puts it in the taxi's trunk and they continue their journey out of town. Meanwhile, Laura and her son are at a hospital for bombing victims, looking for Santiago. But even after searching for a while, they can't find him, which worries Laura even more. In that moment, her son tries to comfort her, saying he believes Santiago will be okay. Then Laura realized that Santiago had a GPS in his car connected to his phone, but when she checked, she found out the GPS wasn't working. The last location it showed was the gas station. So, Laura, her son, and one of Santiago's colleagues rushed to the gas station to find more information. Meanwhile, Hamza takes Santiago to a dam. There, he ties Santiago's hands to the steering wheel and warns him not to fight if he wants to stay alive. Then, Hamza opens the trunk and throws the bomb vest into the dam. Soon after, Santiago asks for permission to go to the bathroom, and Hamza eventually lets him. Later, Hamza gets impatient and attacks Santiago. Santiago, being old, can't defend himself well. But instead of hurting Santiago, Hamza breaks down in tears. Santiago realizes Hamza isn't all bad and invites him to talk. There, Santiago asked Hamza to share what really happened because he believed Hamza was actually a good person. Finally, Hamza opened up. He explained that a month ago, he was in Morocco, where he was forced by a terrorist leader to carry out the airport bombing. He was threatened to do it, and his family was in danger too. Luckily, the bomb he had didn't explode due to a malfunction. Hamza was scared, but Santiago reassured him. He promised to help and said he'd talk to the authorities. There, Santiago also told Hamza not to be afraid because he'd be a witness if Hamza was innocent. From then on, they got along and continued their journey. Meanwhile, the terrorist leader was furious with Hamza for not detonating the bomb and escaping. He ordered his henchmen to find and eliminate Hamza. Soon after, Laura and her son arrived at the gas station where Santiago had been earlier. They searched for clues while Santiago's friend asked the cashier, but the new cashier didn't know anything. Luckily, they found a discarded GPS in the backyard. Then, Laura quickly contacted the authorities and told them she found evidence belonging to her husband. Later, Captain Pilar checked the gas station's CCTV with information from Laura. They found evidence that Hamza had taken Santiago hostage, but they didn't know where they were. Pilar ordered her team to bring Hamza's mother and older brother for questioning. Shortly after, Hamza's mother and brother were questioned. Turns out they hadn't heard from Hamza in a while. Last they knew, he went to Morocco to study religion. His mother insisted he was a devout Muslim and wouldn't do anything like this unless he was forced or threatened. In the end, Captain Peeler believed Hamza's mother and brother, thinking Hamza was forced into doing bad things. She promised not to harm Hamza if he turned himself in and revealed who was really behind the bombing. Later, Peeler shared this information with other military leaders. She explained that Hamza was a good person who acted under threat. They agreed not to harm him and asked Pilar to find him. The next morning, Hamza and Santiago were still on the road. At that time, Santiago, who hadn't slept, felt dizzy and nearly crashed. Despite needing rest, he insisted on driving. Eventually, they hit a road divider. Luckily, Santiago was okay, but Hamza fainted. There, Santiago did his best to wake Hamza up, and eventually, Hamza regained consciousness. Soon after, Hamza told Santiago to leave him because he didn't think he had much time left. But Santiago refused, believing Hamza would make it. He carried Hamza to the roadside. Santiago tried flagging down passing cars for help, but it was a quiet road and no cars came by. Hamza, getting weaker, asked Santiago to give his favorite prayer beads to his mother and tell her he loved her. Santiago reassured him, saying a car would come soon. Eventually, a car did come, but it was driven by the terrorist leader's henchmen, who killed Hamza and attacked Santiago until he passed out. The scene shifts to Laura at home. At that time, she gets a call from Captain Pilar, who asks her to come to military headquarters. Upon hearing that, Laura and her son hurry there. When they arrive, Pilar explains they still haven't found Santiago or Hamza. Pilar suggests they stay at the headquarters to stay safe from the terrorist leader. Laura and her son agree, wanting to be safe. Meanwhile, Santiago wakes up in a supermarket bathroom with a bomb vest on, controlled remotely. The terrorist leader contacts him, saying he has to finish what Hamza couldn't, which was setting off the bomb vest. After the call ended, the bomb on Santiago's vest would activate if he stopped moving, triggered by a motion sensor. The terrorist leader revealed he was targeting the Spanish government due to a grudge from his brother's death. Hearing that, Santiago protested, saying he didn't want to be involved, but the terrorist leader saw it as punishment for Santiago trying to help Hamza. Then the call ended and Santiago had to keep walking to avoid detonating the bomb. People panicked when they saw Santiago with the bomb vest, thinking he was a terrorist. He cried out for help as he walked, hoping for the police or bomb squad. Soon, the police and military arrived, including Captain Pilar. She directed John from the bomb squad to save Santiago. At that time, John gave Santiago earphones so they could talk inside. There, John told Santiago to stay calm while he checked the bomb. Santiago explained he had to keep moving to prevent it from exploding. After examining the bomb, John asked Santiago to keep walking while he reported to Captain Pilar. He explained to Pilar that the bomb had a motion sensor and remote control, making it dangerous for Santiago to stop, and opening the bomb would take time. To minimize harm, they had to move Santiago to a safer spot away from the crowd. It seemed the terrorist leader planned for Santiago to detonate the bomb in a crowded area. Pilar's assistant found a safe spot to remove the bomb vest from Santiago, and they would take him there through the city center. Santiago was guided out of the supermarket and through the city, escorted by Pilar and her troops. The incident attracted attention from the residents and was broadcasted live on TV. The terrorist leader used this to monitor Santiago's movements directly. During their journey, Pilar kept encouraging Santiago through the earphones, urging him not to give up. Then, Santiago asked to speak to Laura, wanting to reassure her. When they connected, Santiago told her he was okay and not to worry too much. He also advised her to take care of their son if he didn't return. This alarmed her, but the call was suddenly cut off. At that time, Pilar realized the terrorist leader was watching them through live broadcast. Then she quickly contacted military officials, suggesting they deceive the terrorist leader by keeping up the appearance of the live broadcast while actually showing loot videos. This way, the terrorist leader would think Santiago was still walking, giving them time to move him into a car and safely remove the bomb vest. Once everyone agreed, the military officials instructed the IT team to act fast. They quickly created a video showing Santiago's convoy appearing to continue its journey. Then, they took over all TV broadcasts, replacing them with the fake videos. This tricked the terrorist leader into thinking Santiago was still walking. The leader planned to detonate the bomb when Santiago reached a crowded area. However, Santiago had been taken to a quiet location and placed in a steel car equipped with a treadmill so he could keep walking. Soon after, John entered and began trying to open the 3 padlocks on the bomb vest. Santiago had resigned himself to his fate, fearing the terrorist leader would detonate the bomb if he realized they were tricking him. But John kept reassuring Santiago and managed to unlock the first padlock. The second lock was harder, but John persisted until he finally unlocked it. Meanwhile, the terrorist leader just found out that someone had hacked his live video broadcast. He noticed from the numbers on Santiago's bomb vest that it wasn't working. This made him furious, and he decided to detonate the bomb remotely. But luckily, his right-hand man, who had the trigger, was now out of reach. The terrorist leader had to find him first because he couldn't be contacted. Back with John, he's working on the last padlock. With all his focus, he finally manages to open it. He tells Santiago to quickly remove his bomb vest. Suddenly, there's an explosion. Even though the terrorist leader hadn't pressed the trigger, the bomb went off because Santiago had removed it, deactivating the motion sensor. In the end, Santiago survived and was taken away by the medical team for treatment. At that time, Captain Pilar received praise from military officials for her clever plan. Meanwhile, the terrorist leader realized his plan had failed and quickly left his hiding spot. A few days later, Santiago reunited with Laura and his son. He then asked for permission to fulfill a request from Hamza, who had passed away. Santiago visited Hamza's mother and gave her the prayer beads Hamza had entrusted to him. There, he assured her that Hamza was a good person who loved her dearly. The film ends. The moral lesson from this film is if a stranger asks you to buy pliers and snacks at a gas station, just grab the snacks and run for the hills.